Hi cooking cronies. Today I'm making the Easter bread. I'm preparing it for our St. Joseph table that we're having at church, so I wanted to share this recipe with you. I'm going to get started and I hope you enjoy it. I have my flour, my pre-dyed eggs, I have salt, the active yeast, I have my sugar, butter that I've cut up so that it softens more quickly, 2 eggs that I will beat, eggs or milk, and that's all the ingredients that you need for this recipe. I may have failed to mention that the eggs are raw. They're just dyed eggs. They're raw because they're going to bake with the bread. So I'm going to add my yeast and 1/3 cup of water to my mixing bowl, which I'll attach to my stand mixer. So here's the yeast and here's the water, and I checked the temperature and it was at 110. So now I'm going to whisk it to make sure it's mixed well. Looks like it's pretty well mixed. I'm going to include 1 tablespoon of flour and 1 tablespoon of the sugar that I've already pre-measured. And again, I'll mix this, I'll whisk it, and this helps activate the yeast. I like to move my bowl around and get the sides as well. Get all the yeast that kind of splashed up there in my first mixing. So now that I've mixed it well, I'm going to set it aside and let it rest for 5 to 10 minutes in a warm spot. So I'm going to set it on my stove. I'm going to pour my milk into a saucepan and put it on the stove to heat up. I'm going to heat it until bubbles start to form around the end. I don't want it to come to a full boil. I just want it to heat it up. And then once it's heated, I'm going to add my butter that I've cut up into pieces. While I'm waiting for the milk to heat up, I'm going to beat the 2 eggs. That way they'll be ready when I'm ready to use them. Perfect. Looks like the milk is ready to go. Here's a picture of it. I don't know if you can see that. Hopefully. Now I'm going to add the butter, the salt, and the sugar. Let me get a little spatula to put the butter in. I'm going to take this off the stove too because I want it to cool down. I can't add that hot milk mixture to the yeast. It'll just kill it. So I'm also going to put the sugar in. So I'm going to add the sugar. All of this has been pre-measured. And the salt. So I'm going to mix all this. Ooh. And I'll just let it set aside so that it's going to cool now. And I'm going to do, because I want to show you other things, I'm going to just set it in a cool place so it takes less time to cool. Okay, it's cooled down to 110 degrees, so I'm going to attach the yeast mixture to my mixer and put the paddle attachment on. And I'm going to put it on stir. And I'm going to slowly add my milk mixture. Looks like it's mixed pretty well. I'm going to add the egg mixture. And I'm going to turn it up just a little bit. All right, so now I've got everything in there except for the flour, so I'm going to start adding the flour in there slowly because I don't want a bunch of dust of flour flying up. So I'm going to turn that down a little bit. And I'll just keep the mixer going until all the wet ingredients is mixed with this flour. I think I found the perfect speed because it's not puffing up flour in my face like I just did out of that bowl. Up just a little bit. That ensures that the sides of the bowls get mixed in there pretty well. It's looking really good. Turn it down again to add more flour. I'm going to save just a little bit of this flour so I can put it on my surface so I can knead it. Up again to mix it. I want to mix it until it starts pulling away from the sides of the bowl, which it's not doing yet. So I may add the rest of the flour to the bowl to get it to dry out just a little bit more. And then I'll just use some flour from my canister. So now I'm going to release this and release my mixer and do some kneading on my surface. So I'm going to sprinkle some flour on my counter. And then get the dough out of my mixing bowl. Nice. Ooh, it smells good. Clean this paddle pretty well. And scrape the bowl with my fingers. And if I need to, I will add some flour, more flour to the bowl to ensure I'm getting all the dough out of here. That looks nice. So you can see I put some flour in my mixing bowl, And now I'm just rubbing it around in there because it will attract all the dough that's stuck in there. And then I can put it with the rest of the dough and knead it. And I like to get this bowl pretty clean because I'm going to put this dough back in here so it can rise. But I will put some oil in here first so that it doesn't stick once I'm done. And I'm putting it to rise. So I think I got it all. The bowl's looking pretty good. Not too bad. Now I will just knead this dough until it's nice and smooth. All right. So dough is nice and smooth. Looks really pretty. So I'm going to spray the bowl so that the dough doesn't stick to the side when I put it to rest. All right. So this is going to go back in here. I'm going to give the top a little spray as well so it doesn't dry out. Then I'm going to cover it with some plastic wrap and set it aside for about an hour and a half to 2 hours, and I'll return. The dough is risen, as you can see, so now I'm going to punch it down. It lets the air escape out of there. I'm going to add some flour to my surface here, and I'm going to put this dough on my floured surface. Oh my gosh, that smells so good. I love the smell of fresh bread, or the smell of fresh dough. So I'm going to cut it in half. I'm going to use, find it here. I'm going to cut it in half. Let's see what's the best option here. This way, I think. I think that looks pretty even. Maybe. We'll see. Let me do my scale here. Put the plastic down on it. Zero it out. 1.12. 1.11, 1.11 1/4, and 1.11 1/4. So we're good now. Each side is even. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll it into just a long piece of dough. You can feel some air pockets in there. You want to try to get all those out. Okay. Yeah, you can feel it there. So actually I'm making like a long rope, I guess you could say. Yeah, air pocket right there. I don't want it to be too skinny, but I don't want it to be too thick either, because when it rises, it will expand again because we're going to let it rise some more. And I want to make sure that when I'm rolling, I'm putting them both the same length so that I can braid them. So that looks pretty good. So now I'll do this one. Okay, I have them both the same length. So now I'm just going to start braiding, and I'm going to do it loosely because I want to make room for the eggs to be nested in there. So I'll just keep going one over the other. And you can do this with 3 strands as well, but I don't know. I think the 2 is prettier. So you decide. And then I'm going to bring it around into a wreath. So I'm going to loosely connect these 2 together, pinching them, and hopefully when they rise together, when it rises again, those seams won't look so bad, but I'll put an egg there to try to hide that. So once I get it shaped the way I want, this is the trick, is to move it onto my tray. And it came apart again, so I'll reconnect it here. I'm going to stretch it out because some of it looks a little bigger than, looks like it kind of got thicker. So I might just redo that on here. Okay, kind of like the way that looks. That end is just not very pretty, but when it rises, I think it will be fine. And I'm gonna stretch this out a little more. Okay, that's looking pretty good. So I'm going to get my eggs that I've colored. I colored 6, but I'm only going to put however many looks nice in there. And I'm just going to nest them in there. Stretch this a little bit more. Now these eggs are raw. I just colored them because they will cook in the oven. So these get nested in. And this will just look so pretty with these beautiful colored Easter eggs. I think 5 is going to be the magic number here. I'll put my pink one in the refrigerator and have that for breakfast in the morning. All right, so I'm pinching the ends again together just in hopes that they'll stay. So now I'm going to cover this with just a towel and let it rise again until it's doubled again. So it's going to rise about an hour. So about 30 minutes or 20 minutes before it's the rising time has expired, I'll start the oven. So stay tuned. Okay, I'm just going to cover it with a big tea towel, as my mom and grandma used to call these. and I'll set my timer for 1 hour. Okay, I've got the oven preheating. I put an egg into this bowl and I'm going to beat it so that I'll have an egg wash for the bread before I put it into the oven. This will really make it, the bread look pretty and shiny. I'm going to add a little water to it, just a little bit. There we go. Much better consistency. Don't want to make an omelet, want to make a wash here, so. Doesn't that look pretty? Gosh, that looks so pretty. A few more minutes and I'll be putting some egg wash on that. All right, look at this beautiful loaf. So I've got an the egg wash here, and I'm going to paint it on carefully all over this bread. I'm going to stay away from the egg. I've found that if you get egg wash on there, it kind of makes the color of the egg get on, not kind of, but it does make the egg coloring bleed onto the dough, and I don't like the way that looks. So I'm going to be very careful to stay away from the eggs. So, looking very pretty. This egg wash will really make the crust of this bread turn a beautiful golden brown. Need a turntable for this instead of walking around my whole counter. That's all right. Get some more steps for my Fitbit, I guess, huh? Yeah, right. All right. Such a pretty yellow. These are fresh farm eggs that my dad brings me, and gosh, the color of the yolk is so different than store-bought eggs. I'm a country girl at heart. I like homegrown eggs, so to speak. And I'm blessed that my dad likes raising chickens, so I get the goods. All right, this looks good. And now, just for fun, I'm going to sprinkle. I bought some of these little candy sprinkles from Kmart one day. It's called mixed sprinkles, just to make it a little more festive. And I'm going to sprinkle these on to the dough and let them bake on the bread. You can also do a glaze afterwards, but I'm not going to do a glaze. I'm just going to add some more color to this beautiful bread. Make it look really Eastery, you know? Hence Easter bread. Crack myself up here. Get it inside and out. Kind of uniform. I'm not doing it sparingly. Just trying to, I don't want to overdo it either, you know. I want just to make it look festive. And I think that's good. Oh, that piece needs a little more egg on it so it can hold a little bit more of this. There we go. Toss it on. That's the trick. There we go. There we go. Looks beautiful. So now I'll put it in the oven. My oven is preheated, 350, and this will bake for about an hour. All right. Okay, I hear the buzzer. Let's get this out of the oven. Oh, it looks pretty. Very pretty. Looks like one of my eggs fell. Yep. Well, that's dumb. That didn't work out really well. As you can see, looks pretty anyway. So good job, and we'll turn that in, and hope you guys like the recipe, and have a blessed day. God bless.